God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day, to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Why can't they leave a man in peace? Off with you! Bah, humbug.
Once upon a time, all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house.
It was cold, bleak, biting weather, and although the city clock was just striking 4, it was quite dark already.
It had not been lighted all day, and dozens of fires flared in the windows of neighboring offices, like ruddy smears upon the palpable grey air.
But Scrooge's window was different. Scrooge had a very small fire.
His clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal.
Where are you going, Cratchit?
I thought 1 or 2 pieces of coal, sir.
You thought 1 or 2 pieces of coal, did you? Well, I'm not made of money, sir, and you'd better to pay less attention to the temperature and more to your work.
Yes, sir.
External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry wind chill him.
No wind that blew was bitterer than he, no pelting rain less open to entreaty.
This must be distinctly understood, or else nothing wonderful can come from the story we are about to relate.
The story of Ebenezer Scrooge's remarkable transformation.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!
God save me from Christmas. It's a load of humbug.
Christmas? A humbug? Uncle, you don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
Come then, what right do you have to be miserable? You're rich enough.
Bah, humbug.
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be in such a world as this? Merry Christmas. Out upon Merry Christmas. What is Christmas but a time for paying bills with no money? A time to find yourself a year older and not an hour richer, and there's nothing merry in that. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on their lips should be boiled in their own pudding, and buried with a stake of holly through their heart.
Uncle!
Nephew! Keep Christmas your way, and let me keep it mine.
Keep it, but you don't keep it.
Let me live it alone, then. Much good may it do you. Much good has it ever done you?
There are many things in which I might have derived good by that I have not profited. Christmas among the rest. But I dare say I have always thought of Christmas time as a good time. One in the long calendar of the year where people open their shut-up hearts freely and think of people below them as truly as fellow passengers of the grave. So, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I say God bless it.
Here! Here! One more sound from you, Cratchit, and you'll keep Christmas by losing your position. You're quite the power speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into politics.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us.
I'll see you in hell first.
But why? Why?
Why did you get married? Married to a penniless girl despite my wishes.
Because I fell in love.
Love. Love is the greatest hypocrisy of all. Mark my words, nephew. You'll work your fingers down to the bone to make that woman happy. You'll scrimp, save, try to make her love you. And in the end, you'll find that she's resented your efforts on her behalf.
You never came to dine with us before I was married. Why give that as a reason now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why cannot we be friends?
I said good afternoon.
Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Humbug.
Why, sir, you've forgotten your Christmas punch.
Don't be silly, Bob. That's for you and your family.
Oh. Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas.
Same to you, Bob. And Uncle.
What is it?
Happy New Year.
Good afternoon!
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
It's not a pleasure to be addressed by either of you. Mr. Marley is dead. Died 7 years ago this very night.
We have no doubt his liberality is well represented by his surviving partner.
Bah!
This festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we make some slight provision for the poor and destitute who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessities. Food, clothing, shelter.
There are no prisons?
Plenty prisons.
And the union workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are. Still, I wish I could say they were not.
I'm glad to hear it. I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful purpose.
A few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. What shall we put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to remain anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. I do not make myself mayor on Christmas and cannot afford to make idle people merry.
Mr. Scrooge.
I am forced through taxation to support the institutions I mentioned, and God knows they cost enough. Those who are badly off must go there.
But many can't go there and many would rather die.
If they'd rather die, then they better do it and decrease the surplus population.
But, sir...
It's not my business. It's good enough for a man to understand his own business and not to interfere with other people. Mine occupies me greatly. Good afternoon.
Excuse me, Mr. Scrooge, but it is 6 o'clock, sir.
Correct, Cratchit.
I wondered if I might have my wages, sir.
Trouble with you, Cratchit. It's all you think about is pleasure and squandering money. Suppose you want all day tomorrow?
If it's quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient. It's not fair. Yet if I would stop you half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'll be bound. Still, you don't think me ill-used when I pay a full day's wages for no work.
It's only one day, Mr. Scrooge.
Poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. Very well then, take the day. But be here all the earlier the next morning. Hey! Get out of here!
Merry Christmas, sir.
Be gone from here! Take your infernal Merry Christmas with you.
Scrooge lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner.
They were a gloomy suite of rooms in a dark corner, set so far back that one could scarcely help fancying that it must have run there when it was a young house, playing hide and seek with other houses, and forgotten its way out again.
The yard was so dark.
And the fog and frost was so heavy about the old black gateway
That even Scrooge, who knew the every stone, was fain to rub about it with his hands.
Now it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocker on the door.
except that it was very large.
Let it also be borne in mind that Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since his last mention of his 7-year dead partner that afternoon.
And then let anyone explain to me, if they can, how it happened that Scrooge saw on the door not a knocker, but...
Marley? Jacob Marley? Humbug.
It was dark in Scrooge's house, but what of that? Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it.
No one under the table? No one under the bed?
There was a small fire in the grate, spoon and basin ready, and a little saucepan of gruel upon the fire.
It was a very low fire, indeed.
Nothing on such a bitter night.
It's humbug still. I won't believe it. How now? What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. You don't believe in me.
I don't.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because little things affect them. A slight disorder of the stomach upsets them. You could be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an undone potato. There's more gravy than grave about you, whichever you are. Mercy! Dreadful apparition! Why do you trouble me?
Man of the worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. But why do spirits walk the earth? And why do they come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him walk abroad amongst his fellow men and travel far and wide. And if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world. Oh, woe is me. And witness what it cannot share, but might have shared in life and turned to happiness.
You're fettered. Tell me why.
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link, and yard by yard. Is it strange to you? Will you know the weight and length of the heavy chain you bear? It was as heavy and as long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You've labored on it since. Yours is a ponderous chain, Ebenezer.
Oh, Jacob. Old Jacob Marley. Tell me more. Speak comfort to me, Jacob.
I have none to give. Comfort comes from other regions, Scrooge, and is conveyed by other ministers to other kinds of men. Mark me. In life, my spirit never moved beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole, and now weary journeys lie before me.
You're always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business! Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, forbearance, benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business. At this time of the rolling year I suffer most. Why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down and never raise them to see the misery around me? Never raise a finger to help my fellow man? Behold, the agony of a kindness left undone.
Suddenly the air was filled with phantoms, wandering hither and thither in restless haste.
Every one of them wore chains like Molly. None were free.
Many had been personally known to Scrooge throughout his lifetime.
He had been quite familiar with one spirit who cried piteously at being unable to assist a wretched woman with an infant.
The misery with them all was, clearly, that they'd sought to interfere for good in human matters.
And had lost the power forever.
Hear me. My hour is nearly come. I'm here to warn you that you have a chance and hope of escaping my fate, a chance and hope of my procuring Ebenezer.
You're always a good friend to me, Jacob. Thank ye.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
Is this the chance and hope you spoke of, Jacob?
It is.
I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first spirit when the bell tolls 1.
Can't I take them all at once and have it over, Jacob?
Expect the second when the bell tolls 2. And the third when the bell tolls 3. Look to see me no more. And for your sake, remember what has passed between us.
Were the Marley and his creatures faded into the mist?
Or mist enshrouded them?
Scrooge could not tell.
But they and their spirits' voices faded together.
And the night became as it had been when he had walked home.
And being from the emotion he had undergone,
Or the fatigues of the day,
Or his glimpses of the invisible world,
Or the lateness of the hour.
Oh, the dull conversation of the ghost.
much in need of repose, Scrooge went straight to bed without undressing.
and fell asleep upon the instant.
One o'clock. Nothing else. A dream, that's all. A foolish, childish dream. Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who or what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
What business brings you here?
Your welfare.
To be awakened by a ghost at 1 o'clock in the morning is hardly conducive to my welfare.
Your reclamation, then. Take heed. Rise and walk with me.
I am mortal and liable to fall.
Bear but a touch of my hand there, and you shall be upheld in more than this.
As these words were spoken, they passed through the wall and stood on an open country road, with fields on either hand.
The city had entirely vanished. Not a vestige of it was to be seen.
The darkness and the mist had vanished with it, for it was a clear, cold winter day, with snow upon the ground.
Good heavens! I was bred in this place. I was a boy here.
The children playing were in great spirits, and Scrooge recognized every one of them.
He was conscious of 1,000 odors floating through the air, each one connected to 1,000 thoughts, hopes, and joys, long, long forgotten.
Why, that's John Dawkins! And George Newmark! Look! It's my sister! Fan, it's me, Ebenezer!
They have no consciousness of us. These are but shadows of things that have been. Your lip is trembling. And what is that upon your cheek?
Nothing. A pimple. Lead me where you will.
You recollect the way?
I could walk it blindfolded.
They walked along the road, Scrooge recognizing every gate and post and tree.
Until a little market town appeared in the distance, with its bridge, its church, and winding river,
and left the high road by a well-remembered lane.
And soon approached a little schoolhouse of dull brick, with a little weathercock on the roof and a bell hanging in it.
The school is not quite deserted. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still.
The door opened, revealing a long, bare, melancholy room, made plainer still by lines of desks.
At one of these desks sat a lonely boy reading near a feeble fire.
And Scrooge wept to see his poor, forgotten self as he had used to be.
I wish... But it's all too late now.
What is the matter?
Nothing. There was a group of boys playing outside my door last night. I should have given them something. That's all.
Look, Scrooge.
Fan!
My dear brother, I have come to bring you home.
Home, little Fan?
Yes, home for good and all. Home forever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be, that home is like heaven. He spoke so gently to me one clear night when I was going to bed that I wasn't afraid to ask him once more if you might come home. And he said yes, you should, and sent me in a coach to bring you. You're going to be a man and never come back here. We're to be together all the Christmas long and have the merriest time in the world.
You didn't have a merry time, though, did you, Scrooge?
My father was a very stern man.
He held you a grudge.
Yes. My mother died in childbirth. My birth.
Your sister, on the other hand, was always a delicate creature, whom a breath might have withered. She had a large heart.
So she had. I'll not to deny it, God forbid.
She died a woman as well, and had, as I think, children?
One child.
True. Your nephew Fred.
Yes.
Let us see another Christmas.
Although they had, but that moment, left the school behind them, they were now in the busy thoroughfares of the city.
It was made plain enough
by the dressing of the shops.
That here too, it was Christmas.
But it was evening now, and the streets were lighted up.
They passed into a warehouse, snug and warm and dry.
As bright a ballroom as one could wish upon a winter's night.
I know this place. I was apprenticed here. Why, it's old Fezziwig. Bless her heart. It's Fezziwig alive again.
Yo-ho there! Ebenezer! Dick!
Dick Wilkins, to be sure. Bless me, yes, there he is. He was very much attached to me. My goodness. I am a good-looking chap.
You looked rather like your nephew, Fred.
Really? I never noticed.
Yo home, Right, boys, no more work tonight. Christmas Eve, Dick. Christmas, Ebenezer. Let's clear away, my lads, before you can say Jack Robinson.
And there's... Belle. I had forgotten how beautiful she was.
There shall now be happiness and contentment in this room, such as none of us have experienced before. Let's have a dance.
Would you like to dance?
I'd love to, Ebenezer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have an important announcement. Rather, an important question. Belle, this is perhaps the happiest night of my life, and I can think of no better way to mark it than here, in front of your father and your mother, your friends and loved ones, to ask you.
Go on.
Belle, will you do me the honor of becoming my wife?
Oh, Ebenezer, nothing could make me happier.
That's Fezziwig. What a remarkable woman.
What's so remarkable? She has spent but a few pounds of your mortal money, 3 or 4 perhaps. Is that so much she deserves your praise?
It isn't that. It isn't that, Spirit. She has the power to make us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. Her power are in words and looks, and things so slight it is impossible to count them. The happiness she gives is quite as great as if it had cost a fortune.
What's the matter?
Nothing particular.
Something, I think.
No. I should like to be able to say a word or two to my clock just now. That's all.
Quickly, my time grows short.
Again Scrooge saw himself.
He was older now.
A man in the prime of life.
His face had not the harsh and rigid lines of later years.
But it had begun to show the signs of care and avarice.
There was an eager, greedy, restless motion in the eye, which showed the passion that had taken root.
And where the shadow of the growing tree would fall.
By his side stood a young woman,
in whose eyes were tears, which sparkled out of the light that shone from Christmas past.
It matters little. To you, very little. Another idol has displaced me, and if it can cheer and comfort you in time to come as I would have done, I have no cause to grieve.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
I shall never understand this world. There is nothing on which it is so hard as poverty, and nothing it professes to condemn with such severity as the pursuit of wealth.
You fear the world too much. I have seen your nobler aspirations fall off, one by one, until the master passion, gain, engrosses you.
I was a boy.
Your own feeling tells you that you are not what you were. I am. That which promised happiness when we were of one heart is now fraught with misery that we are two. How often and how keenly I have thought of this, I will not say. It is enough, Ebenezer, that I have thought of it, and can release you.
Have I ever sought release?
In words? No.
In what then?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, in everything that made my love of any worth or value in your sight. If this had not been between us, tell me, would you seek me out and try to win me now?
You think not?
Can I believe you would choose a dowerless girl? You who weigh everything by gain? No. Ebenezer, I release you, with a heart full of love for the man you once were.
Say something! You fool!
You may, for a while, have pain in this, but soon you will dismiss the recollection of it as an unprofitable dream, from which it happened well that you awoke. May you be happy in the life you have chosen.
Go after her! Go after her, you fool! Spirit, take me home. Show me no more.
I told you, these are but shadows of the things that have been, that they are what they are. Do not blame me.
I cannot bear it. Take me back, haunt me no more. Belle, come back! I was wrong. Please come back, Belle. I need you. Stupid old fool. Getting yourself all upset over nothing. It's just a bad dream. I'm glad I woke up from it.
Suddenly, upon the stroke of 2, a blaze of ruddy light streamed forth.
Which, being the only light, was more alarming than a dozen ghosts, as Scrooge was powerless to make out what it meant.
At last he began to see that the source of this ghostly light was the adjoining room.
And slowly, cautiously, he opened the door.
Ebenezer Scrooge, come and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You have never seen the like of me before.
Never.
Yet, how many of my kindred have you rejected in your miserable lifetime?
I've never met any of your family, Spirit.
You have never looked for them.
How many of them are there?
What year is this?
1860.
Then I've 1,859 kin.
A tremendous family to provide for, Spirit. I've journeyed to the past and learned a lesson which is working now. If you ought to teach me, let me profit by... I mean, learn from it.
Touch my robe.
Holly.
Mistletoe.
Red berries.
Ivy.
Turkeys, geese, game.
Poultry, fish, meat.
Pigs, sausages, oysters.
Pies, puddings, fruit, and punch.
All vanished instantly.
So did the rum, the fire, the ruddy glow, the hour of night.
And they stood in the city streets.
On Christmas morning.
The poulterers' shops were still half open.
And the fruiterers radiant in their glory.
There were pears and apples clustered high in blooming pyramids.
There were bunches of grapes made to dangle from conspicuous hooks that people's mouths might water as they pass.
The grocers, oh, the grocers.
Nearly closed with perhaps 2 shutters down.
Or one.
but through those gaps such glimpses.
It wasn't only the blended scents of tea and coffee,
Or that the raisins were so plentiful and rare.
The almonds so extremely white.
The sticks of cinnamon so long and straight.
And the candied cakes and fruits so spotted with sugar.
Nor the French plums so blushed in their decorated boxes.
But the customers were all so hurried and so eager in their hopeful promise of the day that they tumbled up against each other at the door,
Crushing their wicker baskets wildly.
And left their purchases upon the counter.
and came running back to fetch them.
There's a lot of buying, isn't there?
Oh, Ebenezer, is that all you see? Follow me, and I'll show you what good use these wares can be put.
Is there some peculiar power which emanates from your torch?
Oh yes, there is. Do you know where we are now?
Can't say that I do.
Why should you? You've never been to this part of the city before. This is the lavish home of Mr. Robert Cratchit. Shall we go in?
No, I don't think I'd be welcome.
As always, we shall be invisible and unheard.
What has ever got you, precious father? And your brother, Tiny Tim? And your sister, Martha? She wasn't this late last Christmas.
Here's Martha, Mother.
Why, bless your heart, alive, my dear. How late you are.
There was a great deal of work to finish, Mother.
Well, never mind, so long as you've come.
There's Father coming. Hide, Martha, hide.
Merry Christmas, my dears! Why, was our Martha?
Not coming.
Not coming. Not coming on Christmas Day?
Here I am, Father. You two take Tiny Tim and warm him by the fire.
Yes, Mother.
Now, how did little Tim behave in church?
Good as gold. And better. Sometimes he gets thoughtful, sitting by himself so much. It's the strangest things you ever heard. He told me coming home that he hoped the people in church saw him because of his, and it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas Day who made the lame beggars walk and the blind men see.
The goose is ready. Yes, I'd best see to it.
Well now, Tim, how are you feeling after sitting by that nice warm fire?
Much better, Father. I feel each day I'm getting stronger, and soon I'll be able to play with the other children, won't I?
You will, Tim. You will indeed.
Dinner's ready.
There was never such a goose.
Its tenderness in flavor, size, and cheapness were the themes of universal admiration, stretched out by applesauce and mashed potatoes. It was a sufficient dinner for the whole family.
But it's such a small goose.
That's all Bob Cratchit can afford.
Mr. Scrooge! Let us drink, my dears, to Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed. I wish I'd had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feed upon, and I'd hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
My dear, the children, Christmas Day.
It is on Christmas Day when one should drink to such a stingy, hard, odious, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. Nobody knows it better than you do, my dear.
My dear, Christmas Day.
I'll drink his health for your sake, and the day's sake. Not for his. Long life to him. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I have no doubt.
Mr. Scrooge!
Mr. Scrooge!
Mr. Scrooge!
Well, no Cratchit Christmas would be complete without our family traditions. We've been to church, we've had a glorious supper, but there's just one thing we're missing.
Tiny Tim, why don't you sing the song they sang in church?
A song, yes, Tim, sing a song, please.
Silent night, holy night.
come, all is bright.
Virgin Mother and Child, Holy Infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace.
That was lovely, Tim. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
Spirit, tell me, will Tiny Tim live?
I see a vacant seat at this table, a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die.
No. Oh no, 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 Spirit. Say that he will be spared.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none of my kin will find him here. But what of that? If he be like to die, he'd better do it, and decrease the surplus population.
You use my own words against me.
Yes, so perhaps in the future you will hold your tongue till you learn what the surplus population is and where it is. It may be that in sight of heaven you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like this poor man's child. We still have some time left. Touch my robe.
And now,
Without a word of warning from the ghost,
They stood upon a bleak and deserted moor.
Down in the west, the setting sun had left a streak of fiery red,
which glared upon the desolation for an instant,
like a sullen eye, and burning lower.
Lower.
lower yet.
was lost in the thick gloom of darkest night.
What place is this?
A place where miners live, who labour in the bowels of the earth. But they know me.
An old man and an old woman.
With their children, and their children's children.
and another generation beyond that.
They were gathered round a glowing fire.
The old man, in a voice that seldom rose above the howling wind upon the barren waste,
was singing them a Christmas carol.
The spirit did not tarry here, but sped
Not to see.
to see.
To Scrooge's horror looking back.
He saw the lost of the land.
And his ears were deafened by the thundering of water as it rolled and roared and raged.
On above the black and heaving sea.
On, being far away from any shore.
They lighted on a ship.
They stood beside the helmsman at the wheel.
The lookout in the bow.
The officers who had the watch.
Dark, ghostly figures in their several stations.
But everyone among them hummed a Christmas tune.
Or had a Christmas thought.
Or spoke below their breath to their companion of Christmas Day.
With homeward hopes belonging to it.
In this setting, it was a great surprise to Scrooge to hear a familiar laugh.
It was a much greater surprise to Scrooge to recognize it as his own nephew's.
Fred!
And to find himself in a bright, dry, gleaming room.
With the spirit standing, smiling by his side.
I'm telling you the truth. He said Christmas was a humbug. As I live, he believed it too.
More shame to him, Fred.
He's a comical old fellow. That's the truth. But not so pleasant as he might be.
True, but his offenses carry their own punishment. I have nothing against him.
He seems the pleasantest of fellows. Why do you hate him so?
My sister died giving birth to him.
I'm sure he's very rich.
My dear.
At least you always tell me so.
What of that, my dear? He doesn't do any good with it. He doesn't even make himself comfortable with it.
I don't squander it, if that's what you mean.
I'm sorry, darling. I don't have much patience with him.
Oh, I have. I'm sorry for him. I couldn't be angry with him if I tried. Who suffers by his ill whims? Himself, always. Here he takes it into his head to dislike us, and he won't come and dine with us. What's the consequence?
He doesn't lose much of a dinner.
Indeed, he loses a very good dinner.
I'm glad to hear it. Do go on, Fred. He never finishes anything he's about to say. He's such a ridiculous fellow.
All I was saying is the consequence of him taking a dislike to us is he loses some pleasanter moments. That could do him no harm. I'm sure he loses pleasanter company than he can find in his dreams.
Got to agree with him there, Spirit. For once my nephew is right.
He may rail at Christmas till the day he dies, but he can't help thinking better of it if he finds me going in good temper, year after year, saying, "How are you, Uncle Scrooge?" If he would only give his clock £50, now that would be something.
£50!
Come, let us visit.
Oh no, Spirit. Can't we stay? Look, here's a new game. 1/2 hour, Spirit. Only one.
All right.
Let's play at yes and no. All right, I've got one.
Is it a vegetable?
No.
Mineral?
No.
Animal?
Yes.
Is it soft?
No, not at all.
A porcupine?
No.
Is it a wild beast?
Yes.
Does it growl?
Oh, yes.
Roar?
Yes.
Where does it live?
Yes or no questions only.
Is it from Africa?
No.
From India?
From India?
No.
From England?
Yes.
A wolf?
A bear?
A boar?
I know. It's your Uncle Scrooge.
Yes, it is. Friends, my uncle has given us plenty of merriment, to be sure, and it would be ungrateful not to drink to his health. Here's a glass of mulled wine ready to our hand. To Uncle Scrooge. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to him. He wouldn't take it from me, but may he have it nonetheless. Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge! Uncle Scrooge had imperceptibly become so gay and light of heart that he would have pledged the unconscious company in return and thanked them had the ghost given him time.
But the whole scene passed off in the breath of the last word, and he and the spirit stood once again on the cold, grey streets of London town.
It was a long night.
If only it were only a night.
For while Scrooge remained unaltered
in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older.
Are spirits' lives so short?
My life upon this globe is very brief. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight at 3. Hark, the time is drawing near.
Spirit, forgive me if I'm not justified in what I ask, but I see something strange there at your feet. Is it a foot? Or a claw?
It may be a claw, for the flesh there is upon it. Look here. Look, Scrooge.
it brought forth 2 children.
Wretched, abject, frightful, hideous, miserable.
Where graceful youth should have filled their features out.
A stale and withered hand pinched and twisted them,
and pulled them into shreds.
Where angels might have sat enthroned, devils lurked, and glared out menacing.
Spirit, are they yours?
They are man's, and they cling to me, appealing from their fathers. The boy is ignorance, and the girl is want. Beware them both in all their kind, but most of all, beware this boy. For on his brow I see written which is doom, unless the writing be erased.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
Am I in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come? You're about to show me the shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that so, Spirit? Ghost of the future, I fear you more than any spectre I have seen. But as I know your purpose is to do me good, as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear your company. Will you not speak to me? Night is waning fast, and it is precious to me. Lead on. Spirit, lead on.
They scarcely seemed to enter the city.
For the city rather seemed to spring up around them.
And encompass them of its own act.
I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
I thought he'd never die. What has he done with his money?
I haven't heard. Left it to his company, perhaps. He hasn't left it to me, that's all I know. It's likely to be a cheap funeral. For, upon my life, I don't know of anybody who's going to it.
Suppose we volunteer.
I don't mind going if a lunch is provided. But I must be fed if I waste my time.
Well, I'll offer to go if you will. Come to think of it, I wasn't at all sure I wasn't one of his best friends, for he did say hello to me once on the street.
Scrooge was, at first, inclined to be surprised that the spirit should attach importance to conversation so apparently trivial.
But feeling assured there must be some hidden purpose,
He set himself to consider who the dead man might be.
now the scene had changed, and Scrooge beheld a bare, uncurtained bed.
The room was very dark.
Too dark to be beheld with any accuracy.
A pale light rising from the outer air fell straight upon the bed.
And on it, plundered and bereft, unwatched, unwept, uncared for, was the body of a man.
A cat was tearing at the door.
And there was the sound of gnawing rats behind the hearthstone.
What they wanted in this room of death,
And why they were so restless and disturbed.
Scrooge did not dare to think.
Spirit! I see! I see! The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way now. In leaving this place, I will not leave its lesson. Let us go. I understand you, and I would look on him if I could, but I do not have that power. Spirit, if there is any person who feels emotion caused by this man's death, show that person to me, Spirit. I beseech you.
They left the chilling scene and went to an obscured part of town.
The ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched.
The people, half naked, drunken, slipshod, ugly.
Alleys and archways, like so many cesspools, disgorged their offences of smell.
And dirt.
And life.
Upon the straggling streets.
And the whole quarter reeked with crime, with filth, with misery.
Well, open it up, Mrs. Dilber. Might have paid for goods I haven't seen.
You'll not ask me how I came by these?
Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
That's true indeed. Who's the worst fellows of a few things like these? Ain't dead men, I suppose.
If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, why wasn't he more natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have somebody to look after him when he was struck with death, instead of lying there, gasping out his last, alone, by himself.
2 and 10, not a penny more. I always give too much to the lady, so I ruin myself.
No undo my bundle, Joe.
What's she call this? Bed curtains?
Bed curtains.
You don't mean to say you took him down, rings and all, with him lying there?
Why not?
You were born to make your fortune. Oh, these blankets.
Whose else do you think? He's unlikely to catch cold without 'em, I dare say.
I hope he didn't die of catching anything.
Oh, don't be afraid of that. I ain't so fond of his company that I'd loiter about him if he did. You may look through that shirt to your Isaac, but you won't find a hole in it. It's the best he had. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
What do you call wasting it?
Why, putting it on him to be buried in. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. It can't look uglier than he did in that one.
This is the end of it, you see. He frightened everyone away from him when he was alive to profit us when he was dead.
Spirit, take me away. I ask to see emotion connected to this man's death, and you show me only greed and avarice. Let me see some tenderness and some depth of feeling.
The ghost conducted him through several streets familiar to his feet.
And at last they entered poor Bob Cratchit's house.
The dwelling he had visited before.
And found the mother and children seated round the fire.
Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of God. Verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive this kingdom of God as a little child, he shall not enter therein.
The colour hurts my eyes. They're better now again. It makes them weak by candlelight. And I wouldn't show weakness to your father when he comes home, for all the world. It must be near his time.
Past it, rather.
I have known him to walk with Tiny Tim on his shoulders very fast indeed.
And so have I.
Often. But he was light to carry, and your father loved him so it was no trouble. No trouble. And here's your father now.
Where's Tiny Tim?
You went today then, Robert?
Yes, my dear. I wish you could have gone. It would have done you good to see how green a place it is. But you'll see it often. I promised him I'd walk there on Sundays. My little child. My little child.
Father, please, grieve so.
I'm sorry. I have all of you, a blessing to be thankful for. You'll never guess who I met on the street coming home today. Uncle Scrooge's nephew, Fred. Greeted me in his usual cheerful way. When he saw I was a little... He asked me what was the matter. Really...
I'm sure that none of us will forget Tiny Tim. We'll be children.
And I know that when we recollect how mild and patient he was, we won't quarrel easily among ourselves and forget poor Tiny Tim doing it. Never. Never. I'm very happy, my dears. Very happy.
Poor Tiny Tim. Spirit. I used to see some tenderness and depth of feeling. And you have shown me this. I need nothing more. Take me home.
A churchyard. Here, then, the wretched man seen lying beneath the sheets lay beneath the ground.
Before I draw near to the stone at which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be, or are they the shadows of things that may be only? Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends to which they must meet, but though courses be departed from, the ends will change. Say it thus with what you show me. Ebenezer Scrooge. No, 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 kind spirit. Hear me. I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Tell me that I may change these shadows. Tell me that I may sponge away the writing on this stone. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons they teach. I will not shut out... Jacob Marley, heaven and Christmas time be praised for this. They have not been torn down. Rings and all. They're here. I am here. The shadows of things that might have happened may be dispelled. They will be. I know they will. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm light as a feather, happy as an angel, merry as a schoolboy, giddy as a drunken man. I don't know what day it is. I don't know how long I've been amongst the spirits. I don't know anything. I never did know anything. But now I know I don't know anything. A Merry Christmas to everybody, and a Happy New Year to all the world!
Merry Christmas, sir.
Is it?
What, sir?
Is it? No, it couldn't be. What's today?
Today? Why Christmas Day?
It's Christmas Day! I haven't missed it. Spirits have done it all in one night. Of course they can. They're spirits. They can do what they like. Of course they can. Hello, my kind young fellow. Do you know the poulterer on the next street, at the corner?
I should hope I do.
An intelligent boy. A remarkable boy. Do you know whether they sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there? The big one.
Why, the one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. It's a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, my buck.
It's hanging there now.
Is it? Go and buy it for me, and tell him to bring it back here. Come back with the butcher in less than 5 minutes, and I'll give you half a crown. What a delightful boy. Think I'm going to like children. I'll take the turkey to Bob Cratchit's. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. My dear ladies. My dear ladies. How do you do? I hope you succeeded yesterday. It's very kind of you. A Merry Christmas to you both.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yes, that is my name. And I fear it might not be pleasant to you. Allow me to ask for your pardon, and will you have the goodness in your heart to accept my pledge for...
Lord bless me, my dear Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
Not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included.
I don't know what to say to such generosity.
Don't say anything. Just come and see me.
We will.
Thank ye. Much obliged to you. Bless you. Merry Christmas. There you are, my fine fellow. This is for the turkey.
But, sir...
Take it. And this is for you, my fine fellow.
Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I don't know if you can hear me, old Jacob Marley. And I don't know whether or not I imagined things I thought I saw. But between the pair of us, we finally made a Merry Christmas.
He went to church and walked about the streets.
And watched the people hurrying to and fro.
And patted children on the head. And found that everything could yield him pleasure.
Uncle Ebenezer!
Fred, my darling nephew. How are you, my lad? A Merry Christmas to you, my boy, and to your enchanting wife. I was just coming to see you.
Uncle Scrooge?
Fred, I am an old fool who deeply regrets the Christmases gone by they might have shared with you. I'd like to come have Christmas with you, if you'll have me.
I'll have you, of course.
Christmas dinner is sharp at 3.
I'll be there.
What are you doing with that turkey?
I'm taking it to Bob Cratchit's. A sort of Christmas gift.
Uncle Ebenezer, you can't carry that all the way to Camden Town. You must have a cab.
Nonsense. I'll sing and dance the whole way there. I'll see you at 3 o'clock, precisely.
Oh, Uncle Ebenezer. Merry Christmas.
My goodness. Isn't that remarkable? You two are a lovely couple.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Yes.
Is your father home, my dear?
Yes.
Will you please tell him that Mr. Scrooge is here to see him?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Scrooge, sir. What a surprise.
Mr. Cratchit!
Mr. Scrooge.
What is the meaning of this?
I thought we had agreed I was to have today free, sir.
Is that what you thought, sir? Now let me tell you what, my friend. I'm not going to stand for this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, I'm about to double your salary.
Double my salary?
A Merry Christmas to you, Bob. A Merrier Christmas than I've given you for many a year.
He's gone mad.
No, I haven't gone mad. Don't worry about your goose, Mrs. Cratchit. You can use it as stuffing. For this. We'll sit together, Bob, and discuss what I can do to help your family. To begin, we'll find the right doctors to get young Tiny Tim well. And we will get him well. We will, Bob.
Yes, I'll believe you. I'll believe anything.
May this be the merriest Christmas of all our lives.
Scrooge was better than his word.
He did it all and infinitely more.
And to Tiny Tim,
who did not die.
He was a second father.
He became as good a friend,
as good a master,
and as good a man
as the good old city knew.
Some people laughed to see the alteration in him.
But he let them laugh, and little heeded them.
for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe forever, at which some people did not have their fill of laughter in the outset.
His own heart laughed.
And that was quite enough for him.
He had no further dialogue with spirits.
And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas.
If anyone alive possessed that knowledge.
May that be truly said of us, of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us.
everyone.